Welcome everyone to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host, and today we will be covering the last episode of Visions Volume 3, and that is Black by David Production. Joining me to cover this and all of these other episodes of this season is Hammy. Welcome back, Hammy.
Hey everyone, we're finishing strong.
Finishing strong. All right, on to Black, a psychedelic battle between past and present, light and dark, life and death plays out in a haunted psyche of an Imperial trooper who's on the cusp of defeat. Oh my God, what did you think of this episode?
This one was wild. I loved it because and as if you've listened to any of the other episodes, MC's and I's biggest complaint this season was that we were setting things in a certain time period on the canon, making it canon. But the reason I like this one so much is because it's different. It does something totally different and unique. It's got that psychological element. So basically we're given scenes as this Imperial trooper is dying pretty much. He's defeated and dying. And so we see all of these visions of past, present, and then it's put to music. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any dialogue. No dialogue, just
grunting.
vibes.
There's a lot of grunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's like these, I would say kind of, we flash between both the Death Star 2, which is where I think he's sort of from originally, and to the Death Star 1 later
Mhm.
on. And we sort of experience the attack on the Death Star 2. He is hurt. And then he starts to sort of like experience all of these different psychedelic visions as he is definitely on the edge of death. He has lost an arm.
Yes.
And he is like struggling and like clawing his way. And I'm trying to remember, there's like a painting in the Louvre. I'm gonna quickly Google it, one sec. The Raft of the Medusa.
Okay.
And it is a ship that is filled with people who have just started to commit cannibalism.
Oh God.
Just as like one person starts to see land.
Oh, it's so good. I love that.
It's crazy. And so this gave me a lot of like that horror. The Raft of the Medusa is like an entire giant wall in the Louvre. It's huge. But it gave me a lot of those feelings. Like, what are you experiencing when you're at the cusp of death? And like, what kind of monster are you? But also, what kind of hope do you have in that moment? We see a bunch of really interesting images. The ones that stood out for me was when he was kind of like semi-attacking another stormtrooper, but then also like reaching for the stormtrooper's hand and like comfort. And then he turned into... like there was a giant hand chasing him and then he turned into a beast. Like that really stood out. Was there anything that stood out for you?
No, that was it. The giant hand chasing him. Because of course he doesn't have an arm, so I didn't know if that was symbolic of the giant hand chasing him. And then it's also it's not just the death, but I think it's also coming to terms with all of the bad acts that he's committed as a trooper.
Like all of the bad things, and then it sort of flashes to this peaceful time where
clearly this was not his life before this.
Yeah. And he is like, we see him because we see his beard like through the helmet a bunch. So we know that this is him, and we kind of see these like it's like skin on skin, and we see her and we see him kind of whistling and she's humming, and we see her hair like kind of flowing, and then there's this like butterfly, a blue butterfly flapping around.
Yeah, very hopeful. Those hopeful blue butterflies that flap around.
And this is sort of like a lap of the goddess moment where it was probably his happiest time that he's flashing back to in this moment. And he like, that like, because originally we had the music and it was this crazy jazz, like very frenetic.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's very choppy, and you can't be at ease listening to it. It's very almost like cartoony. Like you get no rest and no peace. But then when the music changes and he flashes back to this more peaceful time, you know that it's a more like he's at peace with himself when he's there
Mm-hmm.
and I think it reminded me of Padme and Anakin on Naboo. They're by the water in
Yeah.
the field, and you also kind of, it's really cool that we get this kind of character development in such a non-dialogue heavy short,
Yeah.
because we see, oh, okay, this is not always who he's been, a trooper.
Yeah.
um
And like there's this humanizing aspect to the fact that they showed this idea in amongst the horror of war and like all of
mhm.
those things. It
Also the fact that he's I mean, it's nice that he's shirtless too, but also because, but I think that's on purpose as well, because it's so different to wearing the uniform, that
yeah.
he's in almost like cutoffs. He's on like
Yeah.
cutoff
Yeah.
shorts, and he's relaxing, and it humanizes him.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And it's also to say like fundamentally we're all humans,
Hmm.
right? Like, oh, and then the butterfly lands on him on his chest, and I think it's on his chest, and then he like awakens in this like graveyard, and it's literally like these, you know,
Tombstones all around him.
tombstones, and yeah, and it's flashing to like horrible things in that moment, and then the jazz comes back, and he's in a TIE fighter, and he's kind of flying around as the Star Destroyer flashes crashes into the Death Star. A speeder is destroyed. They're riding on horses on the Death Star. So this must be like the future,
Yeah.
like
It reminded me of Rise
Tross.
of Skywalker. Yeah. It
Yeah,
would
like the
because I don't remember any horses being canon in the
yeah,
first
but
two.
that must be like it's those three big experiences because it was like Death
Right.
Star 1, Death Star 2, and like the giant Star Destroyer with the horses.
Yeah.
um and then, like he tries to touch that other stormtrooper and hold his hand, and then there's like snow, and then they end up holding hands in the handhold as the Death Star crashes into the
Yeah.
planet where Tross takes place, where it lands on like the Endor
Yes.
planet.
Yes, exactly. It was a really
Oh,
cool ending because I didn't expect it. Like that last reaching out for humanity, after going through the experience of
yeah.
war and death and all of this. It was really good.
And I mean, there's something so universal about death that is really hard to put into words, and the horrors that humans do end up putting ourselves through. And but really the best of us is, what compassion we can show to another person, and when we can be at peace.
Exactly. That even though as the Death Star is crashing into the planet and they're for sure gonna die, his last act is to reach out to someone else, and that person also reaches out to them. And I think
Yeah.
there's comfort in that.
And how more Star Wars is that?
Yes.
Good job, Vision Volume 3.
Yeah, especially these last runs of episodes, they're just so good.
Yeah. It definitely feels like they took it up a notch. I was shocked that Black was the last one in some ways, but I kind of understand why it was the last
Yes,
one.
same.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one? Or I
No,
guess
it
on Visions overall, because we're all done.
yeah, like we said multiple times in this, I wish some of these episodes were a little more removed from the canon. I'd still want that. Hopefully, I think hopefully we'll get a volume 4. And we kind of want other studios involved again, even though it's great. All the Japanese studios killed it. Like they did an amazing job, aesthetically, artistically, creatively, all of that, in volume 1 and volume 3. But yeah. Otherwise, so many things that we were able to dig into. I was actually surprised when I started. I always am surprised by Visions. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm surprised anymore.
Yeah.
Also, to go back to kind of what we talked about at the very, very first episode, the reason I like Vision so much, and I'm so excited. Thank you, MC, for letting me talk to you about it, is because it's bite-sized Star Wars. So we
Yeah.
get all of the themes into these little compact in these compact episodes, and you're able to kind of like really experience it differently than you would with a long-term show or with the movies.
And going back to like our themes that we talked about in the first episode, light versus dark, morality during war times. I had the overall uh, feeling of mining and consumption, or House of Atreus theme, which is of course the dark side eating the future for the sake of the now, or for endless wealth, etc. Balance means accepting the light and the dark within you, both of those things, and then the value of life after spiritual death to keep on moving forward. Wow, yeah, we hit like all of those.
We hit all of those multiple times, and maybe multiple times within a single episode.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. And those are all kind of central to Star Wars. I don't know why I'm always surprised by Visions. They nail it, you know?
They nail it every
they get
time.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm kind of a little bit removed from Star Wars. I haven't watched a lot of stuff recently. But and you can say, MC, if you feel differently, but it hasn't felt the way these episodes make me feel.
I think it's nailing it. Like, especially Acolyte nailed a
Oh,
lot
yes,
of
yes.
this, right?
Mhm.
Andor,
Of course.
incredibly well written, etc. I would say that Mandalorian season 3 was a little bit harder to see some of this stuff in, just because of there's some clunkiness. And then Ahsoka itself is very smack you in the face with the symbolism, so even some of it is like amped up to 11. But I don't know, it feels so consistent with Star Wars, like this
Mhm.
and everything else. I just think that sometimes Star Wars accentuates certain things in certain properties, and I like that even given 20 minutes of an episode, they can
Yes.
tell you a full Star Wars story.
Exactly. I agree. You know, I don't know if we've talked about it in any of the 3 volumes so far, but the title Visions, that they're like visions and and parts of Star Wars. I think that's really cool. I don't know if we've ever actually talked about that.
So
Why
there
they called
is,
it that.
well, to me it comes back to when George commissioned the Visions book. And let me pull it out for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Visions was a set of artwork that was done to basically, like, its concepts, or they commissioned a whole bunch of art of Star Wars. They have all this artwork that's been, lying around and sitting around, or they asked for things to be commissioned by people that represented Star Wars to them. Like, this one is like Star Wars. It's just like literally Empire Strikes Back, and it's an outdoor movie theater, like car drive up theater.
Love it.
In
Very
there.
cool.
And it's like, what does Star Wars mean to so many people? This Visions is the book that has the beautiful sort of Orpheus and Eurydice type Padme and Anakin painting, where he's like being consumed by demons, and she's trying to pull him back to the light. Yeah, I don't know. Visions has always meant that to me. Like,
Yeah,
what
no,
is
I
the
love that.
possibility of what it
Right.
could be?
No, I like that. I just noticed that I don't think we've ever talked about it in the 3 times that we've recorded about it. So
And-
it's a great name because it's dual purpose for that reason.
Exactly. And then there was also the Visionaries comic that came out just around the time of the prequels, where it sort of told stories from an alternative perspective, and that's where we got some of the cool Darth Maul stories. We got the Fourth Precept story, which I'm obsessed with. Yeah, like, this idea has been in the works since, before the prequels. Like, these ideas that Star Wars could be anything. Like, it's so silly, but like, I want Visions to get so weird that eventually they do, like, I don't know, Star Wars modern day, but like nowadays, like, what is it like with the Force, but you're like walking down the street? Like, I want that sort of weird. Like,
no, I do too. I think I love that. Yeah.
I want more. I always say that at the end of every season.
I know. That's always, no matter how we may have had small minor critiques, that's how I feel too at the end of all of this after watching all the episodes.
Yeah. I do agree with you though that I really enjoyed season 2, where they opened it up to the world. So I just sort of wish that there was more of them, like the opportunity to have more every season. Like, I want 20, not 9, but these 9 were wonderful, and I'm going to treasure them, especially the Bird of Paradise. It will probably linger with me for a really long time.
Me as well.
All right, Hammy, any final thoughts before we wrap up Visions
No, that's
Volume
it.
3?
We'll see you guys for Volume 4.
Yes. And Hammy, where can people find you if they're looking for you online?
I'm on Twitter at Balance Padawan and on Blue Sky as Hamsa, Hamsa.
Thank you again for joining me, and thank you all for listening. Cheers. Thank you for listening to What the Force. I'm Marie-Claire Gould, your host. Our orchestral music is by Christy Carew for What the Force. You can support the show directly on Patreon at patreon.com/whattheforce. We would like to thank all our patrons, especially those who love and are obsessed with What the Force. Christian R., Adrian, Sarah Joy, Scott, John, In Wild Space, Minky Moo, Derek C., How Rude, Christian Luca, Carly Ann, and Scott C. Support the show by wearing the Force with our merch. Like and subscribe on YouTube, or leave a 5-star review on iTunes or other pod apps. It helps people find the show. You can connect with us on Blue Sky at WT Force, What the Force Podcast on Facebook, or on our website at whattheforce.ca, or our Discord. Links are in the liner notes. Feel free to reach out and start a conversation. Cheers.